Hi, and thanks for joining us on Live with Squacky. I'm Val Kelly, otherwise known as Squacky Voice, and I'm so excited about our episode today. We have Lindsay Sheppard with us today, and she's an amazing voice actress. Lindsay is an animation and tween market voiceover powerhouse. Over 3 octaves from baby to toddler to child to teen to young adult and mature narrator, Lindsay is your voice. She can be sweet and innocent, playful and flirty, or seductive and villainous. Lindsay has done voiceovers for companies worldwide using her state-of-the-art broadcast quality studio. Lindsay lives and breathes voice acting and cartoons. So thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so excited. It's fun.
Oh, so exciting. So we'll talk about this later, but just so everyone knows, I always like to share how I know people or how I met people. And Lindsay and I had the chance to meet at a Voxy Summit conference that Lisa Biggs puts on a few years ago, and it was so cool to have that experience. So it's really great to see you again after all these years.
Thank you. Definitely. Yeah, that was so much fun. That whole conference was just so inspiring, and I'm just so happy that I met you there. You were just so sweet. I think it was the last day that I was there. I was waiting for my flight, and we just hung out for hours just chatting away. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. It was such a great event. Lisa does a great job of putting that on. So it was really, really awesome. So I always love to start out by having my guests tell about how they got started in the voiceover industry. So will you share with us your story?
I will. So when I was a kid, I loved cartoons so much. I used to have my VCR. Those don't exist anymore, do they? But I would record my favorite shows, and I just like sit there freeze framing the credits to see who did what voice. Rob Paulson came up all the time, and he was my favorite voice actor growing up. And I loved it so much, but I loved the art of cartoons also. My grandfather was an artist, and I would just always draw things. I'd draw my favorite characters from Disney movies. And I ended up going to college for animation because I loved cartoons so much. But I was the only girl in my class. So all of our student projects, I ended up being the voice for them. And I'm like, oh, this is kind of neat. Let me keep trying this. And this goes a lot faster than sitting there drawing the things. And I just kind of kept at it. And that was, I guess, 2001 was when I first started. And then 2008 was when I went full time with that, when my son was a toddler at the time. And I would sit there watching cartoons. Tara Strong was she like has that same range that I do. And he was watching Fairly Odd Parents. And Timmy Turner was on there. And I'm like, let me try that. Let me see it. Like, how do women do these boy voices? And I just played with it for like I went on the internet, like, how do I do this? And there was nothing on there. So I just practiced and practiced and practiced for like a month. I'm like, oh, okay, I kind of have this now. And I'm like, let me keep on doing more research. So I went, there was this networking event in New York City that Eric Sheppard was putting on. I'm like, maybe I should go that and talk to these voiceover people and figure out what's happening. I gave him my business card, and a year later we were engaged. And
oh my gosh. That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of a roundabout way to get into voiceover, I guess.
Yeah, totally. That's so cool, though. I mean, everyone has their own story, and it's always so interesting to hear how things kind of they just always kind of fall into place, the way that they're supposed to. And that's, how you guys met and everything. That's so cool. That's really cool. So, you're described as sweet, sexy, fun, the voice that pops on your website. And that's so perfect. Your voice is versatile, cute, and fun. In looking at your resume, you've booked so many different types of work. What would you say are some key factors that have helped you to be so versatile in your work?
Oh, well, first, thank you so much. It's so sweet to say.
You're welcome.
I love learning new things, finding new challenges, and just figuring out how things are done, like it's just something that I love to do. So just like, oh, well, what about this genre? I haven't tried that genre yet. Let me research that and get some coaching and do some workshops and figure it out. And then I have that skill set. And I think it's really important when a client comes to you with something off the wall. Hey, can you do this? Yeah, throw it at me,
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think it's just that love of learning, I think, is just that's one of the things I'm going to be working on next, doing more accents. I think that's always such a fun challenge, to become an even better voice actress. I don't know, just finding things that I don't know and just learning them.
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely thought about getting some dialect coaching to take on some new accents, because I feel like that's an area where I could, I could definitely do the French accent, no problem, because I'm a French teacher too. But, some other ones would be really cool. And I know there's some great dialect coaches out there, so it'd be cool to take that on as a project of learning, Yeah, cool. So I feel like location can sometimes have an impact on how successful actors are in this industry. And I see that you're located in Austin, Texas. Do you think that location matters anymore with the internet and Source Connect, et cetera? Or do you feel like your location has prevented you from booking any types of work that you'd like to be booking more of? Or has it not really been, a factor in how much you book?
I think certain areas of VO, location is a factor. Original animation is mostly done in LA, and people don't really do those shows unless they get flown in. You had to put in your time in LA to do original animation, basically. The same thing with anime dubbing. That's pretty much done in Texas. But for most other types of VO, you can be anywhere. I'd say like 80–90% of my work is e-learning and corporate. And that's just done in my pajamas
Right.
in my booth here, and you don't have to go anywhere. So to make a living in VO, you can be anywhere. But if you want to focus on certain specific things that are location specific, then you got to be there. I think I did benefit slightly from starting my career in New York.
Yeah.
And then moving to Texas. So I brought a lot of clients with me.
Right.
But has it stopped me from doing, I think the only thing it's really stopped me from doing is like full-time original animation, which I would love to do. But now that my kids are older, I'm hoping I can travel a bit more and maybe get out to LA more often and start pursuing that too.
Right. Now, you said that you started in New York. Are you from New York originally, or?
I am a Long Islander.
Nice. Cool. Yeah, I noticed a little accent there. I was like, I'm from Texas. No, I'm pretty sure she's not. Yeah, that's funny because I'm from upstate New York. So I feel like everyone does their time in New York in some part of it, at least for a little while.
I know. Well, when I first started, I didn't know I had an accent, and I had to work so hard to get rid of that. One of my first jobs, I was doing this narration. They're like, can you not say like and or like orange or coffee? I'm like, dog? It's a dog. Dog and water.
Right. No, I don't think your accent now is strong. I just recognized that it was not from Texas. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I knew that about you, that you weren't from Texas originally anyway. I think I knew that you had been in New York originally, but yeah. So that's cool. It's good to know about the location things. I think that a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people are not in a major market. They're not in New York or LA or, somewhere in Texas. I feel like there's a lot of reasonably major markets in Texas, different areas.
There's so many other things that you can do in voiceover. E-learning, like I said, is a major thing. Corporate narration, IVR, commercials, you don't have to be anywhere specifically, unless that client wants you there in studio. And then sometimes they'll fly you out for that.
Right.
Even getting agents, you can have agents all over the country. You don't have to be in that area.
Yeah,
No.
definitely. So let's talk about home studios for a minute. What would you say are the essential items to have in a home studio? I realize that this can be vastly different depending on voice type, etc. But if there's anything you have in your studio that you love, can you share that with us?
Yes, everybody's voice is different. So not the same microphone won't work for this person and that person, but I love my 416. It's so good. It picks up the highs and the lows and just it makes your voice so dynamic. I love my 103 also. That's great for character work and proximity effect and singing. What else? Oh, Mogami cables are so important to have in your studio, because if you don't have them, you might get like random buzzes throughout your studio. A treated space is the most important out of anything. If you can have a booth, or at least treat the room you're in, be someplace quiet. A closet is fine. You can treat the closet, but treat the room and then worry about the equipment.
Right.
I also have a monitor in my booth. My computer and all my equipment is outside the booth, and I have a monitor in my booth so I can do dubbing right there and not have to go in studio all the time. I recorded this Italian animation series. It's 52 episodes from my home studio with Source Connect, and having that second monitor in there just made it so easy.
That's awesome. That's really cool to know. That you can do all that stuff, from your studio, and it's having international clients is so fun. It's really interesting to deal with all the different people in this industry. It's a lot of fun. Cool. So what would you say some of your biggest accomplishments have been so far in your voiceover career?
It's hard to pick one. I'm going to pick a few. When I booked Pokemon, that was such a cool thing, because I grew up on Pokemon. It was one of my favorite shows. I just watched it like for seasons and seasons, and then I finally booked it and I got to be on it. I saw my name in the credits, and my son thought I was cool for like a week. So that was definitely my first big accomplishment, I feel.
Yeah.
And then when I booked RWBY, also to have such an important character for like this long-standing show, like it was really, really cool. But I think my biggest accomplishment is being able to be in the union and provide health insurance for my family.
Yeah.
And be able to do that for years in a row is just, that I feel like is my biggest accomplishment in voiceover.
Oh, let's see. What would you say some of your biggest challenges or obstacles have been so far?
I hate to say it, but that first year after my daughter was born was such a learning experience, because my son was 10 at the time, so he could take care of himself, and I was just like all focused on my career. And now I had to juggle full-time voiceover with full-time baby, and just trying to figure out how to fit sessions during nap time and work at night and not have any sleep. And and she wouldn't let me sleep because she wouldn't sleep without me for months. So my days ended at like 7 p.m. That first year, I had to shift my focus from in-person sessions to e-learning work. That was another thing that I learned how to do, because then I could record it whenever I had a free moment. I didn't have to be on this set schedule and be like, I could bring in a babysitter for a couple of hours here and there and be like, oh, I need to work on this big project. Here's a baby. But that was definitely the hardest year. But it ended up being, I said no to more work that year than I ever had, but it was the best financial year of my career, which was weird. So I was doing less work, but making more money. So it kind of worked out.
Perfect. That's perfect. That's exciting. Yeah, definitely having kids definitely throws, you know, a challenge into your workflow, right? Because you have to work around your family, which comes first for a lot of people. For most people, it comes first, and then, you know, your career is probably second on the list. But I think that's great that you're able to balance it out and make it work for you. So what would your advice be to those just starting out in the industry?
Don't rush things. Don't do your demo until you're ready. Just take like a year at least to just learn, take workshops, take acting classes, singing lessons, dialect work, improv classes. Just use that year, keep working your full-time job, and do all the learning in between. And then when you're ready to actually make your demo, find a demo producer that will tell you if you're actually ready and won't just take your money and throw something at you. They'll let you know, oh no, you're not ready yet. You can just make sure that demo producer knows that you're actually ready. Ask other voiceover talent if they're a credible producer. Oh, and one more thing, when you're practicing, a great resource that's free, pretty much, if you have a TV. Don't fast forward through the commercials. Listen to the commercials, listen to what's currently booking, and try to do that style. There's so many different styles of voiceover just right on your TV. And I don't know, I always thought that was a good way to practice without spending hundreds of dollars at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I've had the last quite a few people that I've interviewed have said that, you know, is don't, like you said, don't fast forward through the commercials, listen to them. And that's such great advice, because I think that, you know, if you want to book more commercials, you have to know what's in style, what the trends are right now, and things like that. And it's so important. And, you know, if you want to book cartoons, watch the cartoons that are on TV, you know, and find out what's happening, what's the style of the characters. Are they more real life, or are they more cartoony? And that's something that's been brought up in a bunch of animation coaching sessions that I've been to, is, you know, what's the trend right now? Does this company want more of a cartoony voice, or do they want more real life? And it's so interesting to find out how the different networks vary from each other, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was listening to your demos, and all of them are so fantastic, Lindsay. Oh my gosh. From commercial to animation and video games to toys, e-learning, and so much more. It seems like you lend your voice to a lot of different genres of voiceover. Do you have a favorite type of voiceover work that you do? Like, is there anything that you book that you get most excited about?
I love that every day is different. It works with my ADHD brain. You're like, you're doing a toy or an anime or a video game or this or that, a PSA. So I love that, but I get super excited when I get to do creature sounds. Ooh. That is my favorite. And it's not just the cute little monsters. I get hired sometimes to do like big creatures and zombies and drools and crawls and slobbers, and I love to just let loose in the booth and just go absolutely crazy. It's like better than yoga.
That's funny. I know, it's funny. I was taking a coaching session webinar with Lisa Biggs, who kind of falls into our same realm of voice category, you know. And we've talked before a few times about how we'll keep like different things in our booth, like, you know, especially for toys, a lot of times where you have to, you know, make these, like you said, kind of creature sounds that go with the, you know, the toys or whatever character that you're doing. And she was telling me one time how she had like water. We were actually auditioning for like the same toy, and she booked it because she's like, you know what I did? She's like, I had water in my booth and I did this weird, like, and she told me what she did, and I was like, wait, what? I was like, that's so crazy. And it was cool though, because I don't know that I would have thought of that, you know, to be like, oh hey, no one can see me, let me try this for this sound. And that was really cool to learn. What do you have any tricks that you do for creature sound?
I had to do like on something that just came out recently. I had to do like a big dire wolf sort of thing. I'm like, okay, how do I make like realistic wolf sounds? So I went to YouTube, and there's a whole bunch of like wolf people on there. They raise wolves and everything. And you go like this, and then you sound a whole lot deeper, and then you can do all the crazy sounds and like feel like you have a bigger chest cavity to have that sound resonate. And I thought that was a really, really neat trick.
That is really neat.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a goal or two that you have for yourself in your voiceover career to accomplish in 2019?
This year I am focusing on wellness and doing things that make me happy, not just pursuing the money side of voiceover, doing things that fill my creative passion, focusing more on getting those fun games and anime, focusing on eating right and getting out there and exercising and taking time for me. So it's not just work. Trying to attend more conventions also, because it's so much fun to interact with the fans. That's why I do my unlocked streams, because then I get to just chat with the fans every week. That's so much fun. They're all so sweet. And I'm also picking up drawing again as a hobby, just for fun, because I loved it so much, and I didn't do any sketching or anything for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, so like I had kind of lost that side of me because I was just so focused on just working, booking the next job. So now on my unlocked streams, I'll sit there and draw with the fans, and it's just so much fun. It's a nice little break during the day. And I don't know, who sees where it'll take me.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's so tell me about these unlocked streams a little bit.
Yeah, it's this app that's on the App Store, and I think whatever the Android one is. You just go on, you can create an account, and you get to interact with, it's mostly anime people are on there, and the fans can come on, and it's a little like live chat thing, so they can ask questions. They can even join the streams now to ask a question in person. So I have a scheduled weekly thing, but you can just hop in whenever you want, and it's just a lot of fun.
As a voice actor, mom, wife, part owner of the Sheppard Agency, how do you find and maintain balance in your life?
I'm supposed to balance things? No, it's just making use of every moment that I have. I usually get up around like 6 a.m. and I start answering emails for my overseas clients, because a lot of times it's towards the end of their day, so I might have like 3 emails in a row like, hey, we need this right away. So I'll get back to them, and then my daughter wakes up usually around like 6:30ish, and I'll just get her ready. My son's getting ready, and I get them both off to school around 8, then come back, eat breakfast, get ready for the day, and then I get to start my actual work day. And I make myself, I use a big happy planner. I don't know if you've heard of them. I have one right here. This is a gigantic book.
Oh my gosh.
Each week I go in and I make my schedule thing. I have this part, and I color code everything, so I know if something is for, if I had to record a job, or an audition, or answer emails, or do something for home, or do something for the kids, or do some wellness thing. Everything has its own color on there, so I can easily see, oh, I need to do this. Anything that's actually scheduled at a specific time goes in my Apple calendar, that goes to my Apple Watch, so I see, oh, I have this thing coming up next, so I don't lose track of that. And then I also have a paper.
Oh my gosh.
Down by like half hour, so I can put everything in there. And then for my goals, I do one of these things. So breaking my overview, how I'm gonna reach that goal, and the different steps that I have to do. I have this online too, but I prefer paper. It's just, it works better for me, you know, and then I can
I do too.
that thing. Yeah.
I do too. For some reason, I'm so like, I'm such a like, I guess it's kind of old school because everything is online now, but I'm like, I need, like, I don't have a big happy planner, but I just have like, like a little planner, but it just works the same. I just put everything in it. And if I don't have it, I'm like totally lost because I don't sync it with my phone or anything, which I probably should. But yeah, I think definitely the key to being balanced is staying organized, and scheduling. And several people I've talked to in the industry have that same kind of, like very rigorous, like, this is my schedule. I know exactly what I'm doing every single day and every single hour of every day. And it just helps to,
So that helps coordinate my work day. And then usually the kids are done with school around like 4:30 or 5. And I'll send, before I go get them, I'll send my accountability buddy an email saying what I did that day, what I want to do tomorrow, things that I wanted to do, things that I didn't do. If you don't have an accountability buddy, I think we talked about this at the thing. Heather Costa was the one that told me about it. So my buddy is Lena Hill, and we check in every day, and we do a quarterly brainstorming session also to make our goals for that quarter. So then I check, then the kids are home from school. We have family time until 8 o'clock usually when they're in bed. And then I go and catch up on my West Coast clients. And then sometimes I get to watch TV for a couple hours with my husband, or I don't. I just crash and go to bed. But that's pretty much my day. And then the weekends, it's family time. I don't usually work on the weekends. I try to reserve that just for family time. But if I have an emergency thing for a client, I do check my email throughout the day, and I'll just go and record once the kids are asleep on the weekends.
Cool. That's great. You and Heather Costa have a really similar similar schedule to your life. It's funny. I interviewed her a few weeks ago, and she's very, 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 very organized, and you guys sound very similar in that.
She's inspiring. My organization is kind of chaos, and then put it on paper.
No, it doesn't sound like chaos. It sounds like you got it together. It's just a matter of, everybody has like their own style, you know what I mean? And I think that
that works for normal days, like, and then there's the days that I'm driving to Dallas, or this, or the kid is sick. It's like there's you have to be flexible.
You do, for sure. Yeah, I feel like you do have to be flexible. I'm gonna leave it at that. For sure. So, since your husband happens to be one of the top talent agents in the industry, is there any chance?
I hear you.
Is there any chance you can give us some tips as to do's and don'ts when it comes to trying to get agency representation?
I can hear his ego growing. I think number one is don't harass the agent. There's some talent that will send us their email, and then they'll follow up like 5 or 6 times that same week. Like, don't do that. That's how you're going to get banned. Right. We get like hundreds of submissions every month, and there's a lot to go through. We've taken people on that sent us their demo 3 years ago.
Right.
Like, we usually only take on 1 or 2 people a year. And out of all of those demos, we can't get back to everybody.
Right.
Be patient, don't harass the agent, and make sure your demo is amazing. Those first 10 seconds, we usually make a decision. It's either a no in those first 2 seconds, or we'll keep on listening. If you're brand new and have never booked, don't email the agent asking for representation or how to do voiceover. Like, that's not right. Email a coach for that information. So that's basically the major thing.
Do you have, like, I know you're a part owner, do you have a hand in that process, or is
I do a lot of the listening of the demos. Usually I'm a lot harder on the demos than so they kind of have to get past me first, and he's like, oh, I kind of like this one. I'm like, no, it's terrible. Uh, but yeah, I'm definitely more critical. But Eric's the ultimate decision maker, but I definitely have some say in it.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
Hey, listen to this person. They're great. So he'll sometimes listen to my suggestions too.
Yeah. That's cool. Yeah, it's definitely an interesting process going to, try and get representation. And I always tell people, because I've been in the industry for a long time, in more at other times than others, it kind of goes in waves for me a little bit. And I think, my biggest advice to people, like you said, is make sure that you have that training, make sure that you have that coaching before you have your demo produced, and make sure it's like off the charts amazing, because you're competing with the best people in the industry to be, especially if you're going for a top agency, you want to make sure that or they're not even going to bother if and also, don't you think having like a referral also helps from someone?
A referral does help. We do get a lot of referrals. We don't always take that person on, but
Right.
If a few different people have said the same name, that'll catch our ear, and we'll be more likely to put that at the top of the list to listen to.
Right.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. So I saw on your website that we talked about this a little bit, but I saw on your website you have a degree in digital arts and animation. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Because I find that so interesting that you started with that and kind of went in a different direction.
Yeah, so like I said, my grandpa was an artist, so he taught me how to draw, and I just loved it so much. But my mother was always in the medical field. So since I was like 6 years old, I said that I wanted to be a doctor. I was just going to be a doctor, narrowed it down to either a heart surgeon or a neonatologist, all the way through high school even. And then I went to a junior ROTC leadership training school boot camp thing. And that it made me think I want to do something that I'm actually passionate about and that I can be a leader in. So I came home from that. And I'm like, hey, guess what? I want to go to cartoon school. And my mom was probably secretly like, oh, yay, I don't have to pay for medical school. That's great. So I went and I found an animation school, and I walked in there and they said, well, what are your career goals? And I said, I want to be the next head at Disney. And they looked at me like, okay. But yeah, so, and that's just how I fell into voiceover. Like I was saying before, that I just was the only girl in my class. So it worked out.
Yeah, definitely. That's cool though. That's an interesting, background, because I feel like there's always some kind of roundabout way that people fall into it. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's people that know at a young age, like, okay, I want to be a voice actor. And I feel like maybe that's more of a possibility now, because I feel like when I was a kid, there were voice actors, obviously, but I don't think I knew as a kid that there were voice actors on cartoons. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I thought about it.
I knew that there were voice actors, but I didn't think that was something that regular people could do. I thought you had to be in LA and be a celebrity. Right. I'm like, oh, you can actually do that,
Yeah, that's cool. So do you have any upcoming appearances that you'd like to tell us about?
Yes, I am going to be doing a voiceover panel with the Austin IGDA, the International Game Developers Association. It's probably going to be at Capital Factory in Austin, and it's probably going to be May 29th. I will be posting updates on Twitter and all the social medias once it's actually set in stone.
Nice.
And I will also be at RTX, the Rooster Teeth Convention, from July 5th through 7th, and that's also here in Austin.
Nice. That's great. A lot of fun. Can you tell us about what you've worked on most recently that you're excited about that doesn't have an NDA?
NDAs are the worst. There's so much stuff that I want to tell you, but so much of it is under NDA, and it's like, there's a few things that did come out. I'm currently voicing the national commercials for Hooters. There's a couple other people that are doing it too, but you can hear my voice on a few of them. There's a really, really cool VR game that just came out. I recorded with a local company out here. It's called Vacation Simulator.
Cool.
The studio that made it, they're the same ones that made Job Simulator, which I think is one of the best grossing VR games like of all time.
Cool.
So this is kind of the sequel to it. You can hear me as Sandbot, Kidbot, and the weather on that one. And it's really, really cool. I got to play it after my session there, and it's super, super fun. What else? Beat X Neo just came out for pre-order. You can find that on Right Stuff Anime. It's officially being released, I think, April 26th, but you can get a pre-order discount if you order it now. What else? I just saw also RWBY Volume 6 is on pre-order also, and that's coming out in the summer. And then a couple of other things that in case you missed it, a big one that I did that I love so much, I invested so many hours in it, is Pathfinder Kingmaker. I voiced Lindsay on that. It's a pretty good, but that game is so much fun. There's people that have put almost 200 hours into the game.
Wow.
It's so epic, and it's only like 10% voiced. So that's just how much content is in that game. It's a really, really cool game.
Cool.
And then if you play HOPA games, the hidden puzzle games, there's a couple that came out, Mystery Case Files, The Countess, and Phantasmic Remains of Buried Memories. Both came out recently, and I'm on both of those too.
Awesome. Do you have any trainings, workshops, or conferences that you're planning on attending in the near future?
Not so near future. I'm hoping to be able to make it to VO Atlanta next year.
Cool.
I wanted to go, but it's kind of hard to do with the baby.
Yeah.
Me and Eric can both go to that. It depends on lots of factors, but hopefully. But this year, I'm just going to focus on, I want to get a good singing coach so I can do more styles of singing. And I want to take some more improv classes too. I took some with UCB Theater in New York, and I loved it so much. So I want to find something kind of similar out here and just focus more on the acting side of things and just keeping that all fresh in my mind. And of course, studying accents as much as I can. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this year.
Cool. So are there any accents that you use a lot in your games and things like that you book that you would say are really important as far as like dialects and things like that go? Do you think that there's some dialect that's more used than others?
I don't know. I get a lot of different requests. So what I kind of do is I'll have like a phrase that I go to so I can try to recall that accent. But usually what I do, if I don't know an accent, I'll just go and try to learn it on the spot. Obviously not during a session, but if I get an audition, I'll be like, they wanted, so the one company wanted a Norwegian accent. So I'm like, I don't know what that is. So
Right.
I looked it up and watched a bunch of YouTube videos. YouTube is great for learning accents. So I just kind of try to learn them on the fly, and then hope that they stay in my brain. I don't know if I get one more than the other. Maybe a really good British accent is kind of a go-to. But a lot of video games want very specific things, like this character is from this country. So I just go and try to learn that specific region.
Cool.
As I can.
Do you think it's a good, these are kind of off on my list, but just things I'm thinking of. Do you think that it's a good idea to, if you think you can do an accent pretty well, do you think it's a good idea to risk it in an audition, or do you think it's better to, you know, just go with the safe?
It depends. Does the audition specifically say they want that accent? If not, just use your natural accent. If it's a video game audition and they say they're open to accents, then I think throw whatever at them.
Right.
But if they want specifically an authentic accent and it's for a commercial or a narration, 9 times out of 10, they're going to book somebody that is native for that accent, because usually that's going to be playing in that country. So,
Got it.
so the client might not know, but the people that are watching it will know. So it's kind of tough. It depends on what the project is.
Right. Yeah, I think I get a lot of auditions for French auditions that are French Canadian and not French from Paris. So it's always tricky because I don't have a French Canadian accent when I speak French. It's more of a Parisian accent. So I'm always like, should I just do it anyway? But I usually don't, because I know that it's not French Canadian, so I know they're gonna know. But sometimes
I would practice the French Canadian accent, because you know the language. I think I would make that a top priority, because if you can switch between the two, I think that's kind of huge. Yeah.
Cool. Just some good advice. Good. Well, thanks so much, Lindsay, for being on the show and for spending time with us. I really appreciate it. It was so great to hear your story and so much great advice.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, you guys. So, one more thing. I almost forgot. Tell us how everyone can find you on social media. That's important.
Okay, well, if you go to my website, bubblegumvoice.com, I have all my little social media things up there. I'm not on too many things regularly, except for Twitter. I'm on all the time. That's kind of my go-to, and that's at @LSheppardVO. But because the spelling's all weird, you can just find it on my website.
Yeah, cool. And I will put the link to your website and to your social media handle in the description of this video. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.